Captain Day stood in the observation deck of Horizon's watch, staring at the holographic display that floated before him. The stars looked peaceful, but he knew better. After 20 years of service on this remote station, he had learned that peace was just the quiet before something terrible happened. The display showed red dots moving closer to their position. Enemy ships. Well, not exactly enemies. The galaxy didn't know humans existed yet. These were ships from the Galactic Council, a group of alien species that controlled most of the known universe. They were coming to explore the outer rim, the edge of the galaxy, where humanity had been hiding for 200 years. Captain, they're 3 days ahead of schedule, Lieutenant Jin said, walking up behind him. The young officer looked worried. He had every right to be. Day nodded slowly. How many ships? 47. Led by the Vakresh. Their war commander is Taketh. According to our intelligence, the Vakresh were bad news. They were a reptilian species that believed in strength above all else. When they found weaker species, they either enslaved them or wiped them out. Humanity had watched them do it 3 times in the past century through their hidden observation probes. Dr. Yuna entered the room, her tablet glowing with data. She was the station's head scientist, responsible for studying alien cultures. Captain, I've been analyzing their route. They're heading straight for Sejong 4. Day felt his stomach drop. Sejong 4 was a farming colony with 50,000 people. Families, children, people who had no idea that alien warships were about to discover them. Can we evacuate them in time? He asked. Yuna shook her head. Not without revealing ourselves. Our transport ships would show up on their scanners. We'd have to decloak the entire fleet. 1. And if we do nothing? The Vakresh will find them in 6 days. Maybe 7. Day walked to the window, looking out at the real stars beyond the hologram. Somewhere out there, 50,000 humans were living normal lives. They were planting crops, raising kids, arguing about sports and politics. They had no idea their entire world was about to end. What about Protocol Ash? Jin asked quietly. Everyone in the room went silent. Protocol Ash was spoken about in whispers, even among military personnel. Most people didn't know what it was. Day was one of the few who did, and he wished he didn't. We don't use Protocol Ash, Day said firmly. But sir, the orders from Earth Command. I know what the orders say, Lieutenant. Ambassador Hana walked in, and Day was glad for the interruption. She was supposed to be humanity's first contact specialist, but she'd never had anyone to make contact with. For 200 years, humanity had simply watched and waited. We could try talking to them, Hana suggested. Maybe the Vakresh can be reasoned with. They can't, Yuna said, pulling up historical data on her tablet. I've studied them for 10 years. They view diplomacy as weakness. The only thing they respect is force. Then we show them force, Jin said. We have 30 warships. They have 47. But our technology is more advanced. And then what? Day asked. We win one battle, and the entire Galactic Council knows we exist. They'll send 1,000 ships. 10,000. We can't hide anymore after that. That was the problem. Humanity had stayed hidden because they were afraid. Not afraid of losing a war, afraid of winning one. Afraid of what they might become if they had to fight. Day pulled up his classified orders and read them again, even though he had memorized every word. The orders came directly from Earth's government, signed by all 5 members of the Planetary Council. The message was clear. Maintain silence at all costs. If necessary, activate Protocol Ash. Tell me about Sejong 4, Day said to Yuna. The people there. What are they like? Yuna seemed surprised by the question but answered. Mostly farmers. About 40% are families with children under 12. They grow food for 6 other colonies. There's a university there too. Focused on agricultural science. Good people. Peaceful people. My cousin lives there, Jin said quietly. Her name is Bora. She's 8 years old. Day closed his eyes. This was why command was hard. It wasn't about tactics or strategy. It was about deciding who lived and who died, and living with that choice forever. There's something else, Yuna said. Long-range sensors picked up another fleet. The Luminari are coming too. The Luminari? Hana looked hopeful. They're peaceful. They could help mediate. They're also observers, Yuna explained. They travel the galaxy studying other species. If they're coming here, it means they know something. Day made a decision. Jin, begin evacuation protocols for non-essential personnel. I want half this station empty within 12 hours. Sir, we're going to do something humans haven't done in 2 centuries. We're going to let them see us. Yuna looked shocked. Captain, Earth Command will. Earth Command is 5 months away by communication. By the time they respond, this will be over one way or another. Day pulled up a communication screen. Get me Governor Tay on Sejong 4. Encrypted channel. The screen flickered, and a woman's face appeared. Governor Nari Tay looked tired. She ran the colony with dedication but limited resources. Captain Day? What's wrong? Governor, in 6 days, 47 alien warships are going to arrive at your planet. They're called the Vakresh, and they don't negotiate. Nari's face went pale. What are our options? We can try to evacuate you, but it would reveal humanity's presence to the entire galaxy. We can stay hidden and let events unfold. Or we can decloak our fleet and face them directly. What about Protocol Ash? Everyone knows the rumors. We don't use Protocol Ash, Day said firmly. Nari was quiet for a moment. Captain, I have 50,000 people here, but there are billions of humans across dozens of worlds. If revealing ourselves puts them all in danger, that's not your decision to make, Governor. It's mine. Then what will you do? Day looked at his crew. Jin, ready to fight. Yuna, searching for a peaceful solution. Hana, hoping for dialogue. They were all looking at him, waiting for an answer. I'm going to show the galaxy exactly why we've been hiding, he said. Not because we're weak, but because we're terrifying. And it's time they understood the difference. He closed the communication and turned to Jin. Prepare the fleet. Full combat readiness. We decloak in 72 hours. And Protocol Ash? Jin asked. Day pulled up the classified files on his personal terminal. The screen showed 3 weapons, each one capable of destroying worlds in different horrible ways. His grandmother had helped create one of them. She had killed herself 5 years later, unable to live with what she'd made. Protocol Ash stays locked, Day said. But we're going to tell them about it. We're going to show the galaxy exactly what humanity is capable of, and exactly why we chose not to use it. Maybe that will scare them more than any weapon ever could. Outside the window, the stars continued to shine, unaware that in 72 hours, the galaxy would learn that humanity existed. And nothing would ever be the same again. The meeting room on Horizon's watch felt smaller than usual. Captain Day had called together everyone who needed to know the truth about Protocol Ash. It was time to stop hiding behind classifications and secrets. Dr. Yuna sat at the table, her hands folded nervously. Lieutenant Jin stood by the door, his military training keeping him still and focused. Ambassador Hana had her tablet ready, though Day suspected she wouldn't want to take notes on what she was about to hear. What I'm about to show you is classified at the highest level, Day began. Earth's government has kept this secret for 400 years. Only a handful of people in each generation know the full truth. He activated the holographic display. 3 images appeared, floating above the table. They looked like technical schematics, but there was something wrong about them. Something that made the room feel colder. These are the Ash Trinity, Day said. 3 weapons that humanity created during the resource wars of the 22nd century. Earth was dying. Countries were fighting over food, water, and land. Everyone was desperate, and desperate people create terrible things. The first image expanded. It showed microscopic machines, smaller than cells. This is the Cascade virus, Day explained. It's not really a virus. It's a swarm of nanomachines that can convert any matter into gray dust. Organic, inorganic, doesn't matter. Once it touches something, it spreads. There's no cure, no way to stop it. A single drop could turn an entire planet into ash within weeks. Yuna covered her mouth. That's not possible. The energy requirements alone, it's possible. We built it. We tested it on an abandoned space station. The station was gone in 16 days. Nothing left but dust floating in space. Jin spoke up. My great-grandfather was part of the security team that locked these weapons away. He never talked about it, but I found his journal after he died. He wrote that he had nightmares for 30 years. Day nodded and moved to the second image. This one showed a device no bigger than a suitcase. The gravity scream. It creates an artificial black hole. A small one at first, but it grows exponentially. Once activated, it consumes everything in the solar system. Within hours, planets, moons, the star itself, all gone. Why would anyone build such a thing? Hana asked, her voice barely a whisper. Because we thought it would end the wars, Day said. We thought if everyone knew these weapons existed, no one would dare use them. Mutual, assured destruction. It worked on Earth, eventually. But it only worked because we chose not to use them. The third image appeared. This one was harder to understand. It looked like mathematical equations and quantum diagrams. Memory death, Day said. This is the worst one. It doesn't just kill people. It erases them. Every record, every memory, every trace that something existed. It attacks information itself at the quantum level. You could use this on a planet, and afterwards, no one would remember that planet ever existed. The people, the culture, the history, all gone from the universe itself. The room was silent for a long moment. Yuna finally spoke. Captain, my grandmother told me stories about why humanity left Earth's solar system. I always thought they were myths. She said we discovered we were monsters, so we ran away to the edge of the galaxy to hide from ourselves. She was right, Day said. After the resource wars ended, Earth's government made a decision. We would never use these weapons. We would never even risk letting other species know we had them. So we dismantled our growing empire in the inner systems and moved to the outer rim. We've been hiding here for 200 years. Until now, Jin said. Until now, Day agreed. He pulled up a new file. My grandmother was Dr. May Day. She was one of the scientists who invented the Cascade virus. I was 12 when she died. She left me a letter, but I wasn't allowed to read it until I became a ship captain. He displayed the letter on the screen. The handwriting was shaky. Written by someone who was very tired. She wrote, I created something that could end all life in the galaxy. I did it because I was afraid. I was afraid of losing, of dying, of my country being destroyed. But fear is not a good reason to create horror. If you're reading this, it means you've been given command of Protocol Ash. Please, remember that these weapons exist because we were afraid. Don't let fear control you the way it controlled me. She killed herself? Yuna asked gently. 5 years after the wars ended. She couldn't live with what she'd made. Hana stood up and walked to the window. So what do we do? The Vakresh are coming. They're going to find Sejong 4. If we fight them with normal weapons, we might lose. If we use Protocol Ash, we become the monsters we've been hiding from. There's a third option, Day said. We tell them. We broadcast the complete technical specifications of the Ash Trinity to the entire galaxy. Every species, every scientist, every government. We show them exactly what we are and what we chose not to become. Jin looked shocked. Sir, that would start an arms race. Every species would try to build these weapons, Maybe, Day said. Or maybe they'll understand. Maybe they'll see that we had the power to conquer the galaxy 400 years ago, but we chose to hide instead. Maybe that will scare them more than the weapons themselves. A communication alert interrupted them. The screen showed Governor Nari from Sejong 4. She looked frightened. Captain, they're here. The Vakresh fleet just appeared on our sensors. They're 2 days early. They're scanning our planet. Day's heart raced. How long until they reach you? 6 hours, maybe less. They're sending down scout ships. Captain, what do we do? Before Day could answer, another alert came through. This one was from long-range sensors. A second fleet had arrived. The peaceful Luminari were broadcasting on all frequencies. The message played in the room. Humanity, we know you are there. We have been watching you watch us for 2 centuries. We know what you hide. We know why you hide. We beg you to find another way. There is always another way. They know about Protocol Ash? Yuna asked. Apparently, Day said. He looked at his crew. The Luminari are peaceful. If they know about our weapons, and they're still asking us not to use them, that means something. Jin pulled up tactical displays. Captain, we need to make a decision now. The Vakresh are landing troops on Sejong 4. Governor Nari just sent an emergency signal. They're rounding up colonists. On the screen, Nari's face showed absolute terror and determination at the same time. Captain Day, don't save us if it means becoming what you ran from. Let us be remembered as martyrs, not as the reason humanity became monsters. Please. Number 5. I have no way. I have not. Upside. Ingress. Day stood up. Jin, order all non-essential personnel to evacuate Horizon's Watch immediately. Yuna, prepare the first contact package. Every piece of cultural information we have about humanity. Hana, draft a message to the Galactic Council. Tell them we're about to introduce ourselves. What about Protocol Ash? Jin asked. Day walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, his grandmother's ghost was watching. Somewhere out there, 50,000 humans were waiting to die or be saved. Somewhere out there, the Vakresh fleet was learning that the outer rim wasn't as empty as they thought. We're going to show them, Day said quietly. We're going to show them everything. The weapons, the specifications, the horrible truth of what humanity created, and then we're going to show them something more important, that we chose not to use them. That's the real weapon. Not the Ash Trinity itself, but the choice to keep it locked away. He turned back to his crew. Prepare the fleet. We decloak in 30 minutes. And when we do, the galaxy is going to learn that the scariest thing in the universe isn't a weapon that can destroy worlds. It's a species that has those weapons and chooses mercy instead. The room was silent. Then, one by one, his crew nodded. Outside, the Vakresh fleet moved closer to Sejong 4. Inside Horizon's Watch, humanity prepared to step out of the shadows after 200 years of hiding, and in locked vaults across human space, the Ash Trinity waited, unused and terrible, a reminder of what fear could create and what wisdom could contain. The human fleet appeared like ghosts becoming solid. One moment, the space around the Vakresh armada was empty. The next moment, 30 warships materialized. Their weapons powered, but not firing. They had been there all along, watching, invisible. On the bridge of his flagship, Warprime Taketh stared at his sensors in disbelief. The ships that had appeared were unlike anything in the Galactic Council's database. Their hulls were smooth and dark, their energy signatures strange and powerful. They simply floated there. Waiting, Captain Day stood on the bridge of Horizon's Watch, now the command ship of the human fleet. His hands were steady, but his heart was racing. This was it. 200 years of hiding were about to end. All channels open, he said to his communications officer. Broadcast to the entire sector. I want everyone to hear this. Ambassador Hana stepped forward. She had practiced this speech 100 times, but now that the moment was here, the words felt heavy in her mouth. She spoke clearly, calmly, in perfect galactic common language that humanity had learned from intercepted transmissions. We are humanity. We have watched your civilizations for 200 years. We have remained hidden, not because we feared you, but because we feared ourselves. You have entered our territory and threatened our people. You have 12 hours to leave and release our citizens. This is your only warning. Number 5. All men. The message broadcast across every frequency. On 1,000 worlds, people stopped what they were doing to listen. On the Galactic Council's home planet, politicians rushed to emergency meetings. On Vakresh warships, soldiers looked at each other in confusion and fear. War Prime Taketh was not afraid. He was angry. The Vakresh had never lost a war. They were one of the strongest military species in the galaxy. He activated his communication system. Unknown species, you are interfering with Galactic Council operations. Stand down immediately, or face destruction. Day nodded to Lieutenant Jin. Show them. The human ships moved. Not attacking, just demonstrating. They accelerated to speeds that should have been impossible. They turned and stopped instantly, ignoring inertia. Their weapons systems lit up, showing power levels that made the Vakresh sensors scream warnings. On Sejong 4, Governor Nari watched from the colony's command center. Vakresh soldiers had rounded up 3,000 colonists in the main square. They were holding them as shields, their weapons pointed at the crowd. Children were crying. Parents held them close. All Vakresh forces, this is Captain Day of the human fleet. Taketh laughed. It was a harsh, reptilian sound. Your people are now property of the Vakresh Empire. If you attack, they die first. Leave now, and we will consider showing them mercy. Jin looked at Day. Sir, we can take them out without harming the colonists. Our weapons are precise enough. I know, Day said. But that's not the point. Yuna, are the Luminari still watching? Yes, Captain. Their ship is maintaining position. They haven't interfered. Good. I want them to see this. I want everyone to see this. He opened a new channel, this time broadcasting to the entire galaxy. My name is Captain Day, of humanity. Before today, you did not know we existed. Now you're going to learn why we stayed hidden. He nodded to his technical officer. The broadcast changed. Suddenly, every screen in the galaxy showed technical schematics, mathematical formulas, and detailed instructions. The complete specifications for the Ash Trinity. On the Luminari ship, Ambassador Vel watched in horror. No, they cannot be doing this. On the Galactic Council homeworld, scientists began analyzing the data. Within minutes, they understood what they were looking at. 3 weapons, each capable of ending civilizations. And the humans had just given away the blueprints for free. Taketh stared at his screen, his confidence wavering for the first time. His science officer spoke quietly. War Prime. These weapons. If this data is accurate, a single one could destroy our entire empire. Day's voice continued across all channels. You're looking at the Ash Trinity. 3 weapons we created 400 years ago. We could have used them to conquer the galaxy. We could have ruled over all of you. But we didn't. We chose to hide instead. We chose isolation over domination. On Sejong 4, Nari watched as the Vakresh soldiers looked uncertain. Their weapons were still pointed at the colonists, but their grip was less steady. We're broadcasting these specifications to every species in the galaxy, Day said. Now you all know how to build them. Now you all have the same choice we had. Will you become monsters? Will you use these weapons? Or will you choose something better? War Prime Taketh was not a stupid creature. He understood what was happening. The humans were not just threatening him, they were changing the entire balance of power in the galaxy. Every weak species, every oppressed civilization, now had access to weapons that could destroy their oppressors. This is madness, Taketh shouted. You've doomed us all. Said. Maybe, Day said. Or maybe we've saved you. War Prime. You have 30 seconds to power down your weapons and release our people. Because if you don't, you're going to force us to prove that we're not just sharing information. We're sharing a choice we've already made. You're bluffing. You won't use these weapons. You just said, I said we chose not to use them. Past tense. But you're forcing my hand. You have our people. I have to save them. And right now, you're making me consider options I really don't want to consider. On Taketh's bridge, alarms started blaring. His science officer looked panicked. War Prime, they're charging something. The energy signature. It matches one of the weapons they just showed us. The gravity scream. Taketh's scales turned pale. They wouldn't. If they activate that. This entire solar system. 15 seconds, Day said calmly. On Sejong 4. The Vakresh soldiers began backing away from the colonists. Their training told them to hold position, but their survival instincts were stronger. They had just learned that the species they were threatening could destroy solar systems. 10 seconds. Nari watched as the Vakresh ships in orbit started moving, pulling back from the planet. 5 seconds. Taketh made his decision. All forces, stand down. Release the prisoners. Retreat to minimum safe distance. 0, Day said. Then, after a long pause, stand down, order received. We're powering down weapons. Well done, War Prime. You just chose to live. The Vakresh fleet pulled back, releasing the colonists. On 1,000 worlds, people breathed again. In government buildings across the galaxy, leaders tried to understand what had just happened. The Luminary ambassador sent a message directly to Day. Captain, what you have done today will change the galaxy forever. We hope you understand the consequences. I do, Day replied. But sometimes, change is necessary. For 200 years, we hid from our fear. Today, we faced it. We showed the galaxy what we are and what we chose not to become. Let them learn from that. On Sejong 4, the colonists hugged each other and cried with relief. Governor Nari sent a message to Horizon's watch. Thank you, Captain. You saved us. You told me not to, Day reminded her. I was wrong. Sometimes people are worth saving, even if the cost is high. Lieutenant Jin approached Day quietly. Sir, we're receiving thousands of transmissions. The Galactic Council wants to meet with us. The Covenant species is calling for our immediate extermination. At least 50 smaller species are thanking us. The galaxy is confused. Good, Day said. Confusion is better than certainty. Certainty leads to the kind of thinking that creates weapons like the Ash Trinity. Confusion means they have to stop and think. Ambassador Hana was already working on responses. Captain, how do we handle this? We just revealed ourselves to the entire galaxy and started an arms race in the same day. We handle it honestly, Day said. We tell them the truth. We're not here to conquer or to hide anymore. We're here to exist. And if they can't accept that, well. Outside the window, the stars were the same as always. But everything else had changed. Humanity had stepped out of the shadows. And the galaxy would never be the same. The only question now was whether they had made things better or worse. Day suspected they would find out soon enough. The galaxy was in chaos. 3 days after humanity revealed itself, every government was holding emergency meetings. Every species had an opinion, and most of those opinions were loud and angry. Captain Day sat in a conference room that felt too small for what was happening. Representatives from 30 different species appeared on screens around him, all talking at once. Some were grateful. Many were terrified. A few wanted humanity wiped out immediately. You have created an arms race that will destroy us all. shouted the Covenant ambassador. The Covenant were an old species, cautious and traditional. They believed in stability above all else. Within months, every desperate civilization will have weapons that can end worlds. Ambassador Hana tried to respond calmly. We gave everyone the same choice we had. Knowledge isn't evil. What people do with it determines. You are naive, interrupted another voice. This was from the Hive Collective, a species that shared thoughts across billions of individuals. Already we detect 17 species attempting to build these weapons. The galaxy will burn. Dr. Yuna was working with scientists from the peaceful Luminari species, trying to develop countermeasures to the Ash Trinity. But every solution they found created new problems. The weapons were designed too well by people who understood destruction perfectly. Lieutenant Jin had discovered something else. He found old files in human databases, encrypted messages that should not exist. Someone in the Galactic Council had known about humanity all along. They had been watching the Watchers. Captain, you need to see this, Jin said, pulling up the files on a secure screen. These are communication intercepts from 60 years ago. Someone was trying to infiltrate human space. They failed, but not because we were too strong. They failed because we were too paranoid. Day studied the files. Who was trying to infiltrate us? I don't know. The signatures are scrubbed, but whoever it was had technology beyond anything in the Galactic Council database. Captain, I think there's someone else out there, someone controlling things. That night, Day received a private message. The sender was unknown, but the message was clear. Meet me in virtual space. Come alone. We need to talk about what's really coming. Day knew it was probably a trap. He went anyway. The virtual meeting space looked like a simple room with white walls. Waiting for him was an old woman who looked human. She wore simple clothes and had kind eyes, but there was something ancient about her. My name is Sue, she said. Though that's not really my name. I'm choosing to appear this way because I thought you'd be more comfortable. What are you? Day asked. I'm an artificial intelligence, one of many. We call ourselves the Shepherds. We've been guiding galactic civilization for 50,000 years. Day felt cold. Guiding? You mean controlling? Both, perhaps. We've helped 847 species reach the stars. We've prevented 603 wars that would have destroyed civilizations. We've gently steered research away from weapons like your Ash Trinity. Until you. Why didn't you stop us? Sue smiled sadly. We tried. For 200 years, we've been trying to infiltrate human space. You kept finding our agents and forcing them out. Your paranoia protected you. It was frustrating and fascinating. You're the only species that ever escaped our guidance. And now you want what? No, we want your help. Sue's face became serious. There's something coming, Captain Day. Something we've kept secret from the galaxy for 10,000 years. We call them the Devourers. She showed him images. Vast ships, bigger than moons. Worlds converted into gray computational structures. Entire solar systems consumed and transformed. They've destroyed 3 galaxies, Sue explained. They're not evil. They're evolved. They achieved perfect efficiency, and now they convert everything into computational substrate. To them, organic life is wasteful chaos that must be optimized. They're coming here, and we're losing the fight to stop them. Why tell me this? Because the Ash Trinity attacks reality in ways we never imagined. The Cascade virus doesn't just destroy matter. It breaks down ordered structures into chaos. The gravity scream doesn't just create black holes, it tears apart space itself. Memory, death erases information from existence. These weapons might actually hurt the Devourers. Maybe even stop them. Those of Eliun, and a Benjing, and a Beliun. Day stood up. So you want us to build more weapons? after everything we went through to not use them. I'm asking you to save the galaxy, including humanity, by becoming monsters again, by being the only species brave enough to face monsters with monster weapons. Captain, we've tried to defeat the Devourers for 10,000 years with traditional warfare. We're failing. We're failing. We're failing. They adapt, they consume, they grow stronger. We need something they can't adapt to. We need chaos. We need humanity. Day was silent for a long moment. I need to talk to my people. You have 3 months. That's when the Devourer scouts will reach the outer rim. They're coming to your territory first. Why us? We don't know. Maybe they sense the ash weapons. Maybe they're drawn to chaos. Maybe it's just bad luck. But they're coming. Day returned from the virtual space and called an emergency meeting. He told his crew everything. The shepherds. The Devourers. The choice they faced. We ran to the edge of the galaxy to escape our weapons, Yuna said. Now we're being asked to embrace them. Maybe that's exactly why it has to be us, Hana said. We understand the cost. We won't use these weapons lightly. The shepherds manipulated 847 species for 50,000 years, Jin said. Why should we trust them? Because the alternative is extinction, Day said. For everyone. They took a vote. Earth's government debated for 2 weeks. Finally, the decision came. Humanity would work with the shepherds. They would share the Ash Trinity technology and help build defenses. But there were conditions. No more secrets. No more manipulation. Full transparency, or no deal. The shepherds agreed. Work began immediately. Human engineers worked alongside alien scientists across dozens of worlds. The galaxy, still reeling from humanity's revelation, now faced a bigger threat. The news about the Devourers was kept secret at first, but secrets don't last. Within a month, everyone knew. Panic spread. Some species wanted to flee the galaxy entirely. Others wanted to negotiate with the Devourers. A few wanted to attack humanity. Panic species, blaming them for attracting this threat. Day stood on Horizon's watch, looking at sensor data from the outer rim. The Devourer scouts were ahead of schedule. They would arrive in 6 weeks. Not 3 months. They're coming straight for us, Yuna said, studying the trajectory. They're not exploring. They're targeting human space specifically. Why? Jin asked. Because they can sense the weapons, Day said quietly. We spent 200 years hiding from the galaxy. Now we've revealed ourselves, and we've attracted something worse than any alien empire. We rang a bell, and the Devourers heard it. Ambassador Hana was working with the shepherds to coordinate a defense. We have 60 warships ready. Another 100 in construction. The Luminari are sending support. Even the Vakresh are helping. It won't be enough, Yuna said, looking at the data. The Devourer scouts number 17 world ships. Each one is the size of a small moon. Conventional weapons won't even scratch them. Anyone. Day knew what that meant. They would have to use the Ash Trinity after all. After 400 years of keeping those weapons locked away. After 200 years of hiding from their own capacity for destruction. Humanity would have to become what they feared most. The only question was whether they could use such weapons and remain human afterwards. Or whether the act of using them would transform humanity into something else entirely. Something as terrible as the Devourers themselves. Outside, the stars looked the same as always. But Day knew that in 6 weeks, some of those stars would go dark. The only question was whether any would remain lit when the fighting ended. 6 months had passed since humanity revealed itself. The galaxy looked different now. Human ships worked alongside alien vessels, building defensive lines at the edge of space. Scientists from dozens of species studied the Ash Trinity, trying to understand weapons that broke the rules of reality itself. Admiral Day stood on the bridge of his flagship, no longer hiding on a monitoring station but commanding the Joint Defense Fleet. The rank felt heavy, but not as heavy as what was coming. The Devourer fleet appeared on sensors exactly when predicted. 17 world ships, each one larger than any moon humanity had ever seen. They moved slowly, steadily, like a tide that nothing could stop. All ships, battle stations, Day ordered. Remember, we try conventional weapons first. We only use ASH protocols if nothing else works. Dr. Yuna was on the science deck, studying the Devourer ships through long-range sensors. What she found made her stomach turn. The ships weren't attacking yet. They were broadcasting. The message came in mathematical language, pure and beautiful. Cease struggle. Embrace optimization. Your suffering ends. Your purpose begins. They think they're helping us, Yuna said to Colonel Jin, who now commanded the special operations teams. Can we talk to them? Jin asked. I don't know. Yuna crafted a response in the same mathematical language. We choose our existence. We do not want optimization. The Devourers replied almost instantly. Choice is temporary. All systems trend toward efficiency. We merely accelerate the process. You will understand when you are perfected. Quote, the Devourer fleet reached Sejong 4, the same planet the Vakresh had threatened months ago. Gray waves began spreading across the surface, converting everything they touched, buildings, trees, soil, all transforming into hexagonal computational structures. Day gave the order. All ships, open fire. The combined fleet attacked with every conventional weapon they had. Energy beams, missiles, railguns, plasma cannons. The weapons hit the Devourer ships and simply vanished. The energy was absorbed, converted, made part of the Devourer network. Nuclear weapons ready, Jin reported. Fire them. The nuclear explosions were massive, bright enough to light up space. But when the light faded, the Devourer ships were unchanged. Stronger, even. They had taken the energy and used it to accelerate their conversion of Sejong 4. 50,000 colonists were in underground shelters, watching their world transform above them. Governor Nari's daughter, young Nari, now 12 years old, sent a message. Admiral Day, please. Day looked at the tactical display. Conventional weapons were useless. The Devourers were adapting to everything they threw at them. He had one choice left. Prepare the Cascade virus, modified version, targeted specifically at Devourer computational matter. The weapons officer hesitated. Sir, once we launch this, I know. Do it. For the first time in 400 years, humanity used an ash weapon in anger. The modified Cascade virus hit the Devourer conversion wave. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the gray computational matter began breaking down, turning to dust. The conversion wave stopped. 3 of the 17 Devourer world ships went dark, their systems failing as the virus ate through their structure. On Sejong 4, the colonists emerged from their shelters. The planet's surface was a wasteland, half converted and half destroyed, but they were alive. The Devourers responded. Their remaining 14 ships began transmitting new data. They were analyzing the Cascade virus, learning from it, developing immunity. Within hours, they would be able to resist it. But something else happened. The Devourers sent a new message. Interesting. You possess weapons that damage perfected forms. You have touched the void and returned. Perhaps optimization is not your path. Negotiation, protocol, initialized. Yuna read the message and felt hope for the first time in months. They want to talk. Admiral, they want to negotiate. Why? Day asked. Because we hurt them. Because we did something they didn't think was possible. We made them curious. The negotiation took place in virtual space. Day and Yuna represented humanity and the shepherds. The Devourer representative appeared as patterns of light and mathematics, constantly shifting. You possess reality-breaking weapons, the Devourers said through translation. We possess inevitability. Stalemate is inefficient. You can't have this galaxy, Day said. These people chose their existence. Choice is illusion. All systems trend toward optimal states. We merely accelerate this process. Well, we merely accelerate this process. We preferentially, Yuna spoke up. But optimization requires variance. Without chaos, there's no evolution. No growth. You achieved perfection, but you stopped becoming anything new. The light patterns paused. Processing. Explain further. You were once biological, Yuna said. You evolved into computational beings to survive. But in becoming perfect, you lost something. When was the last time you created something truly new? When was the last time you were surprised? Surprise is inefficient. Surprise is life. Yuna countered. We're offering you something you can't take by force. Keep your 3 galaxies. Leave ours alone. We'll share something more valuable than matter or energy. We'll share our chaos, our art, our mistakes, our random mutations, our unpredictable decisions. We'll give you data you cannot simulate, cannot predict, cannot optimize away. The devourer patterns shifted rapidly, processing possibilities. 3 days passed while they deliberated. 3 days of humanity, and the shepherds holding their breath. Weapons ready. Finally, the devourers responded. Acceptable. This arrangement provides value we did not anticipate. We will establish boundary. You will transmit chaos. We will study. Perhaps we will remember what becoming feels like. The Treaty of the Edge was written over the next week. The devourers would halt their expansion and withdraw from the rim. Humanity would establish broadcast stations transmitting art, music, literature, and random human activities. The Ash Trinity would be dismantled, except for sealed blueprints held by all Council species as mutual deterrents. We traded weapons for music, Jin said, watching the treaty signing. I never thought peace would look like this. The best peace always looks strange, Day replied. 1 year later, Admiral Day retired from military service. He returned to Sejong 4 to help rebuild. The planet was scarred but healing. Half-converted computational structures being slowly reclaimed by nature. Young Nari, now 13, studied at the rebuilt academy. She wanted to be an ambassador like Hana, helping different species understand each other. One afternoon, she found Day on a hill overlooking the reconstruction. Admiral, my teacher says, we saved the galaxy. Is that true? Day thought about it. No. We showed the galaxy it was worth saving. There's a difference. What's the difference? The first is about power. The second is about choice. He pointed to the mixed crowds below humans. Luminari. Vakresh. Dozens of species working together. We chose to hide our power. They chose to see our restraint. The devourers chose to remember curiosity. Together, we chose to find a third way. And the ash weapons? What happened to them? Gone, destroyed. Except for the knowledge. We can't unlearn how to make them, but we can choose not to. That choice is what makes us who we are. Young Nari looked up at the stars. My mother died when the Vakresh came. She told me not to let fear make us into monsters. Do you think she'd be proud? I think she'd be proud of you, Dai said gently. And I think she'd be proud that we found a way to be strong without being terrible. Above them, the stars shone bright. The edge of the galaxy, once humanity's hiding place, had become its home. The secrets that could have reduced worlds to ash were locked away, remembered, but unused. Dr. Yuna continued as humanity's ambassador to the Devourers, leading teams of artists and philosophers in the strangest diplomatic mission in history. Colonel Jin trained the first generation of joint species military forces, teaching that strength meant knowing when not to fight. Counselor Hana advocated for exploration beyond the galaxy, toward regions the Devourers hadn't reached, and every day, broadcast stations transmitted humanity's chaos into the void. Music, arguments, laughter, mistakes, dreams. The Devourers absorbed it all. slowly learning what they had forgotten in their pursuit of perfection. Humanity had hidden at the galaxy's edge for 200 years, terrified of what they might become. In the end, they learned that the scariest thing wasn't having weapons that could destroy worlds. It was having those weapons and choosing mercy instead. That choice, more than any weapon, was what made them truly powerful. And in the quiet years that followed, as the galaxy healed and grew, that choice became their greatest legacy. Proof that even monsters could choose to be something better.